Play ball! Blue 22.
You are watching Sports and Sorts live on YouTube. That's 75% sports, 25% sorts. And here are your hosts, Shane and the Bry Man.
Yeah, baby, we are back. It's been a while. It's been a while.
It's been a minute.
This has always been the plan to come back, but we just were unsure when it was going to be able to happen, and it's finally here. How many months has it been? It's been like
4
at least, right? Yeah, it's been like 3, 4, 5 months. I don't know. It's been a while, but we haven't done it in a long time, and we're happy to be back. And got some new stuff. We got like a new intro, obviously, if you just saw that. We got some new thumbnail, like not thumbnails. We got new like logos and all that kind of stuff. We're going to be coming at you with some more like just some more high quality stuff for the podcast. Not podcast. It's basically a YouTube show now. So we're going to be doing that. We got all that stuff going on. We got all these different logos, everything like that. We're going to be coming at you with some new artwork and some higher quality. Just
artwork.
Yeah, like that with the logo. The logos. That's artwork, right? No, maybe.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it's a logo.
Graphics.
Yeah,
Graphics.
graphics. Yeah. So we're going to be coming at you with some all that stuff. We got plenty of stuff to talk about going forward, but the show is definitely going to be rusty to start. We haven't done this in such a long time. It's bound to be a little rough. But yeah, go ahead and sound off in the comments section. We will read or put the comments on the board. But today we are going to be talking about the NFL free agency. We are going to be talking about a Mount Rushmore, the reverse Thanos. We're going to do dead athletes that are no longer with us.
If you could snap them back into existence.
Yes.
Who would they be?
Snap them back into existence. And who would they be? How do you think they would do too? Like, that's what I really think. Because there's one guy that I picked and I'm like, you know what? I would love to see him back in existence because he was so great.
Yep.
I want to see him back in existence because I'm not sure he would even make the Hall of Fame now. I think that could be a potential, but I wanted to see, because there's certain athletes that just have the will. Like Michael Jordan, I feel like you could put him in any era in basketball and he would dominate because of his will.
Yes.
But there's certain athletes that are out there that are pure athletic beings that might have just been ahead of the curve athletic wise.
Sure.
So I'm interested to see that. I want to see how that goes. And then we also have the Justice League, the SnyderCut that we are going to talk about. It will be no spoilers. We will not try and spoil it for you. And we're going to do our best to talk about it. I have like the Rotten Tomatoes score, everything like that, which I feel right now, this could be how is this only in our Rotten Tomato game as far as a critic rating. I think the audience has done a much better rating this. Yeah. Yes. So we'll get into that as well. I am one of your hosts. My name is Shane Moore. You can find me on Twitter at Einhornersfinkel. You can find me on Instagram at Happy McAvoy. I might change my Twitter handle to Happy McAvoy too. I just don't like having them separate like that, but I don't know. Those are my two that you can follow me at.
And I'm Brian Christina, also known as the Bry Man.
And you can find him on Twitter.
I've been saying
the _Bry _man.
The _Bry _man. I've been saying like that so often with like presentations and stuff, and so I'm just like so used to saying my normal name now, as opposed to the Bry Man.
I think it'll be better when you're at work and you're like, I'm the Bry Man, and you can find me at Twitter at the _Bry _man.
Yeah, it's funny because I was actually on a call the other day, and one of the people was like, "Oh, they're like, you've got like a really good radio voice." I'm like, "Well, I do have a face made for radio." I said, "But I do a podcast." I said, "So thank you, I appreciate that." It's very nice, sort of.
It's very nice for you to say that I have a face basically for radio, but I know you were just talking about my voice. Because if I had a face for TV, you would have said you should be on CNN or something like that.
Oh, you're so handsome. You should be on TV.
You have a great voice and you're handsome. Winner. No, that's not what they said.
Yeah.
That's
not what they said.
It's like a little bit of a backhanded compliment. I don't know. All right, so
Or
let's
just an outright insult.
or that, yeah. All right, so we do not have a graphic for our first topic today, which is the NFL free agency. We're going to try and go as complete. We're going to actually try and monetize this at some point. I think I'm going to try and do that, see if we can get there. So we're going to try and use non-copyrighted material. Like, that's why we got all this stuff. I came up with the music a little while ago, new audio, all that kind of stuff. And we're going to try and do this so that we can do it in a non-copywritten way. So if there is a chance that any of this stuff goes viral, unlikely. But if there's a chance, we'd like to have something coming in so we can put some more money into this whole production. But, anyway, we're back. We're going to talk NFL free agency. I'm going to go dun 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 dun. I will have I'm working on like an NFL intro, MLB intro. I'm working on also doing the wheel that we do, the wheel of whatever it is, the wheel of garbage or hot garbage, or I don't know what the heck it was. The wheel of that, and I have one for the Mount Rushmore that we will be debuting in a little while for the reverse snap. And then, but right now, let's get into NFL free agency because I want to talk about that a little bit, but I know that you are really, really excited to talk about this. I mean, your Dolphins have done so much.
What?
Your Dolphins have made moves, but I don't know they've made moves to get any better. I think they just kind of stayed the same.
Well, I was thinking the same thing. In fact, actually, at one point I was worried that they were getting worse because they were losing guys in certain areas that they couldn't afford to lose them, and they just weren't. To me, they had a number of areas that needed to be addressed, and specifically it was wide receiver, running back, offensive line. They still need a center. They still probably need another tackle. On defense, they're relatively solid. They do need an edge rusher though, very badly. They do not need another cornerback, but that didn't prevent them from getting another cornerback because if the Dolphins were a store, they would be cornerbacks are us. And they got Justin Coleman.
Being stacked at cornerback is not a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing. Not in this league. It's not. No, I'll tell you what I do like what the Dolphins did though. Listen, all was kind of forgiven the second I saw on my phone that they got Will Fuller because I love Will Fuller. Love Will Fuller.
Yeah.
I know he's coming off the PED thing, which I know he says he didn't mean to do. It was an accident kind of thing, which they all say. And I'm not going to defend him just because now he's my guy and he's on my team.
An accident is when you hit your funny bone on your railing or something like that. It's not I saw this needle. I'm a diabetic. I saw this needle. I thought it was insulin, so I put it in my body.
Now, I don't believe he'll do it again, but I also think he knew what he was doing.
But you weren't sure that Robinson Cano was going to do it again either.
Right, exactly. So, Will Fuller, they get him on a very team-friendly one-year deal, $10.625 million. I think most of it actually just ended up being the base salary, I think, was under $1 million because I think most of it was probably just like a signing bonus. But I love that signing because it did exactly what the Dolphins needed to do. The one guy I really wanted the most was Curtis Samuel. And if you were on Twitter, you knew that. Because I was posting those Curtis Samuel no matter what post-it note memes. Because I just thought he would have been a perfect fit for that slot position where Tua could really have that guy over the middle that he could depend on. But Will Fuller is also the answer to their other problem at wide receiver, which is a guy who can stretch the field, who can bring a safety with him, who really can open up the middle of the field for guys like Gesicki and even a little bit more for Devontae Parker. So I love the Will Fuller signing. First of all, I love the guy in general. He was on my fantasy team last year, so I grew very close to him because up until he was suspended, he was putting up monster numbers. He was having a huge year. Him and Desean Watson were on fire, and then he got suspended. But I will tell you this, though. The more I look at what the Dolphins did, the more I like it. The more I like it. They got themselves, in my opinion, maybe the best available backup quarterback that they could have gotten in Jacoby Brissett. I like him. I like his ability coming off the bench if he needs to, if Tua gets hurt or, God forbid, Tua is ineffective. I like him as a backup. Malcolm Brown is that perfect third down bruiser running back. The guy averages over 4 yards a carry. He's been a very good player in this league. I like him on that 1-year deal. Again, we talked about Will Fuller. I'm a little bit still concerned with the center situation. They picked up Matt Skura from Baltimore, who's great in terms of not being penalized and great in terms of not allowing sacks, but he is not great in terms of being able to actually snap the ball. He has like the snap yips, which I guess he's assured Dolphins management and coaching staff that he's going to address. But for now, he's not very good at snapping the ball, which is probably the most important thing the center needs to do. But they got some depth on their defensive line with Adam Butler from the Patriots. I actually like the trade that sent Shaq Lawson to the Texans for Benardrick McKinney, who's a linebacker and a Pro Bowler. So I think that works out well. And that actually, I think, kind of addresses the linebacker situation for them. So what I hear, and I talked about Justin Coleman too, who I think, and for some reason they changed punters, which was a little weird, but whatever. But they also signed their kicker Jason Sanders to a long-term deal, which I'm happy about because he might be the best in the league. He's certainly a top 3. What I am excited about, and this is so different from last year, as you'll remember, is that last year going in, it was, you know what it was. It was Tua or bust. It was Tua no matter what. And that put a tremendous amount of stress on the fan base because everyone was like, are the Dolphins going to fuck this up? Or are they going to pick the guy that we all want them to pick?
And this is not for children. This show is not for children.
Let's put that disclaimer in there now. Are the Dolphins going to mess this up, or are they going to take the guy that the entire fan base, or most of the fan base, has wanted for at least a year, maybe even 2 years, in the cases of like people like my brother and myself who have watched Tua and loved him from afar, and I still love him, by the way, despite all the crap on the internet where Dolphin fans have already turned on him after less than a year, and of course Charger fans who seem to live rent-free in a lot of Dolphins fans' heads, and I don't know why. Why? Because Justin Herbert had a good year? I'm sorry, listen, I know that the two of those guys are going to be linked for the rest of their careers. I get it, because one was picked 5th and the other one was picked 6th. They were back-to-back picks. I get that they're going to be linked, but if you're a Dolphin fan and you've allowed a Charger fan to seep into your brain, then that's on you. Because I honestly, I like Justin Herbert, but I couldn't care less about what he did in terms of how it impacts Tua. Because I feel like some Chargers fans and Dolphin fans feel like two items like cannot occupy the same space at the same time. In other words, like Herbert and Tua can't be both great. Only one of them can. So it's got to be Herbert because he won Rookie of the Year. And Tua was, let's be honest, he looked like a rookie quarterback. That's all. If Tua Tagovailoa is guilty of anything, it's guilty of looking like a rookie quarterback. Because I remember some Hall of Famers, specifically guys named Eli Manning, Peyton Manning, okay, Brett Favre. There were some guys who didn't exactly blow it up in their rookie years. Yeah. The Mannings in particular are great examples. I was actually at Eli Manning's very first game. And while I saw a couple of things that I were like, yeah, okay, maybe.
Solid career.
It was, yeah, he did okay. If Tua Tagovailoa ends up being Eli Manning and I get a couple of rings out of him, great. I'll die a very pleased individual. But anyways, what I like though about this draft is that going into it, I do not feel like there's any pressure on the Dolphins to take any one particular player with that 3rd pick. Now, here's how I see it. They actually have 4 options, and I will tell you which one is my preference, but I'll also tell you that I don't mind any of the 4. You could either A, trade down. That is my preference. Trade down from 3, stay into the top 10, probably with a team like a Carolina or a Philadelphia, or somewhere in that range. I think Detroit is also a possibility. It really just depends on who wants to move up to number 3 and grab themselves a quarterback, whether that's Justin Fields or Zach Wilson. We all know Trevor's going to be gone. He's going 1. The question is going to be the big question mark in all of this is what are the Jets going to do? This draft doesn't really start until the number 2 pick because we all know Trevor's going 1, but the Jets are they're like an anomaly. I have no idea what they're going to do. They could trade down, although I doubt that. I really think they need to use that pick on somebody. But I don't know if they are married to Sam Darnold or not. They have not tipped their hand, which is good. If you're a Jets fan, it's good that they have not. So for preference choice 1 is trade down. But make sure if you're going to trade down, if you're the Dolphins, you need to stay in that top 10. Or San Francisco at 12, which you could get an absolute haul for. Because you would get their 12th, their 43rd or something like that. I've done so many mock drafts. I have like picks memorized at this point. Oh, and you will get their first rounder next year, almost certainly. So I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't want to go much below 12, though. Option number 2, draft either one of the wide receivers of Jamar Chase, Waddle, or Devontae Smith. Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith, Jamar Chase, either one of them. My preference is Devontae Smith because I love him. I like Chase. I think objectively Chase is the best wide receiver in the draft, but he's not the ideal fit for the Dolphins because they kind of already have that guy, and his name is Devontae Parker.
Yeah.
Option number 3, draft Kyle Pitts. The guy is just a freak. He's a freak, an absolute freak of a tight end. And if you can imagine a team where Tua could line up behind center, and let's hope he's got a really good running back behind him, preferably Najee Harris. But if not Najee Harris, I will take either Travis Etienne or I would take Javonte Williams from North Carolina. But let's say one of those 3 guys is behind him, okay? And then you've got Will Fuller on one side. You've got Devontae Parker on the other side. You've got Mike Gesicki and Kyle Pitts lined up as tight ends. And they are coverage nightmares. They are mismatch nightmares. There's just really nowhere. I don't know if you are on defense, somebody's getting left open or somebody's in man coverage and somebody's going to get burnt. But this is really getting Fuller was so huge for them because Fuller is going to stretch that field and he is going to take a safety with him. And that is going to leave that center of that field wide open. And if you can imagine a 2 tight end set where you've got Pitts and Gesicki going over the middle, somebody's catching balls all day. I don't know who. So, and then my 4th option would be draft Penei Sewell, the offensive tackle from Oregon. He listen, he's got all the makings. That's probably my least favorite option. But I can't sit here and tell you I'd be like, oh, darn, the Dolphins just took the best offensive tackle in the draft. Woe is me. I can't really say I'd be that upset. So, honestly, I would be those would be my 4 options. My preference is to trade down, which honestly, like gun to my head, I think that's what they're going to do. So long as the trade partner is there. But I think it will be because I think Carolina wants to move up from 9 to 3 to get themselves a quarterback. They've already said we're not married to Teddy Bridgewater.
Well, they really seem to not be in favor of him. So
no.
It's really like they haven't even. It doesn't even seem like they're really giving him a full shot.
Listen, if you're them, you're not going to get Trevor, but you're going to get if you move up to 3, you're going to either get Justin Fields or Zach Wilson.
You know what's weird though about Teddy Bridgewater is that to me, I feel like. Now, bear with me a little bit here. If you think about Teddy Bridgewater and the decent success that he's had in the past, right? He's had injuries and stuff like that, so he might not be quite the same player.
He's a good player. I like him. He's got a big arm.
Who would you rather have behind center, Daniel Jones or Teddy Bridgewater?
Daniel Jones. I still think the ceiling is unknown, and
because he's terrible.
No, I don't think he is. He can move with his legs too.
Well, we'll have to wait and see this year because they have given him everything he needs to have for success. Right. He has a legit. He does. In my opinion, right now they probably should win that division.
You could make the argument, but that division is so wide open.
Right, because it's a bad division.
You can make an argument for any 4 of those teams, although the least of which I would say would be Philly, because I think Washington and Dallas you could easily make arguments for. The Giants, though, yes, there's no excuse.
I think Dallas, because they have their quarterback back. Dak is back, and as much as I don't love him as a quarterback, I do think he's, and I kind of...
You saw the drop-off of what happened when he got hurt last year.
Yeah, and I think that was multiple things. I think it was one, they just, the teammates did not rally around Dalton at all.
No, they didn't.
They did not want him there at all,
and
for whatever reason. Because
it's interesting that the Bears decided this is the guy we want to.
Yeah, exactly. So it's interesting. The whole thing's just very interesting.
No, you're right though, because the Giants. So if you look at it from the Giants' perspective, now you've surrounded. You've got your all pro running back behind you.
Yeah, okay? I mean easily top 3, easily.
Yep. And then you have Galladay on the outside. You've got what, Darius Slay, right?
And Galladay is
Not
a
Darius.
beast.
Who is it? Not Darius Slay.
He's got Kyle Rudolph and Evan Engram.
He's got Rudolph, Engram, and then he's got. Do they have Shepard?
Yes, as a good slot guy.
Who's the other guy? I'm thinking
I
of?
can't remember.
Another really good receiver.
Yeah,
right?
they got 3 good guys. They have 3 good receivers, and they have 2 good tight ends. And they upgraded their offensive line. They have done everything under the sun.
Darius Slayton.
Yeah.
That's
so
what I was thinking.
they have everything under the sun. Like they are.
Yeah, no, it's there for them.
They are like if they do not win this division this year.
Well, it's a do or die year too for a guy like Gettleman. Gettleman's older now. I mean, if this team flops and they don't make the playoffs, he's out. The dude's like 70 years old.
Well, but I believe if they are not leading the division after like
5.
I would say if they're not halfway through the year, if they're not handily winning the division by a couple of games, like unless Dallas goes off and rails off 8 in a row,
I could see Dallas really blowing up.
If they're like 6-2, they should be. I don't know exactly what their schedule is. We'll go over all that stuff a little bit later as we get closer to the season and stuff like that. But if they are not at least 5-3 by the midway point, I think Daniel Jones might be out.
Maybe. Real quick, I want to give you time to talk about your team. You had to be pretty happy about Emmanuel Sanders.
I love that.
I love Emmanuel Sanders.
I love that signing.
Oh, it's great. I mean, look what it does to that wide receiving core.
Josh Allen's going over 5,000 yards this year.
I don't know how he couldn't.
He's going over 5,000 yards.
I mean, now you've got Diggs, Beasley, and Emmanuel Sanders is your third progression. That's your third read.
Yeah.
that guy's a good player. And what's the tight end situation there? They still have Knox.
Yep.
And then, I mean, the running back thing is a little unsettled to me still. Well, you got Devin Singletary back there. To me, that's a position, if I were them, that I'm drafting.
I think they're going to be okay. I think it's going to be one of those things that it's more of a sprinkle it in, not hammer the ball home.
Dude, where they're drafting, because they're drafting what?
I don't know. I can't remember the exact. Yeah,
I haven't. 29, 30 or something like that. They would be in a prime. They're not going to get Najee Harris because he would never get past the Dolphins. At least I hope not at 18. But they have a really good chance to get a guy like Travis Etienne or a Javonte Williams.
Yeah.
And holy crap!
I am
mortified if either one of those guys ends up on the Bills.
I am very happy with the way that they're set up. I'm extremely excited about what they're doing. They just renegotiated Tre'Davious White's deal, so they freed up another $7 million. They are primed and they are just so set up for success.
They brought back Isaiah McKenzie yesterday too in a 1 year. Who I actually like. He torched the Dolphins in that.
They are.
Year. Oh my god.
This is their division, in my opinion. This is their division for the next 2 to 3 years. And I say that because one, your Dolphins haven't gotten any worse. Could potentially get better. And I think we'll be battling it out quite often over the next 2 to 3 years. And I think the Patriots are going to sneak their way back in 2 or 3 years because
let's
all those picks, because they've been going crazy.
So let's talk about the Patriots who went completely bonkers in this free agency. This is one of the most un-Bill Belichick-like years I've ever seen. And you can tell that this is his I need to get revenge tour because Tom Brady went to Tampa, right? Mm-hmm. And what did he do? The guy immediately won a Super Bowl.
He had some serious talent, but yeah.
You know that is sticking in the craw of Bill Belichick.
Oh, of course.
Okay? Because let's be honest, for the most part, I mean, yeah, he brought Gronk with him, but Tom Brady went to a team where they were already pretty much established. All they needed was the upgrade from Jameis Winston to Tom Brady, and voila, here's your Vince Lombardi trophy. I mean, that's got to just you know that sticks in the craw of Bill Belichick. Now, let's talk about what Belichick did this offseason. Well, first of all, it did not get off to a bang because the first thing they did was bring back Cam Newton in that noodle arm of his. And listen, I know you're going to be, I know you don't like Cam Newton. And I do like Cam Newton, but not in his current state. Cam Newton does not have an arm. No. His arm is dead. I saw it. I saw it a couple times last year. The guy throws like balls into the dirt. And it's like he's trying to throw, but they end up in the dirt.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's not the answer. But listen, he's there for a year, and Belichick, I think at the 15th pick could be. Who knows? He might be going after a guy like Mac Jones, which I think would be a little bit early for him. I think it also depends too on who falls where. And maybe the Patriots do try to trade up if they can, but they don't have a lot. They don't have a lot of ammunition to make trade to trade up. But listen, they brought in Nelson Aguilar on a 2-year contract. Kendrick Bourne,
who is a solid receiver,
on a 3-year contract. Then they went tight end Buck Wild,
Hunter Henry, right?
Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry. And I don't like those signings. They both scare me. I mean, I don't like them.
Hunter Henry's a beast. He's always had an issue with health. So,
which is partially why I'm kind of like, if the Dolphins want to draft Kyle Pitts and have their own 2-headed tight end monster, I'd be okay with it, because the Hunter Henry Jonnu Smith thing scares me. Those guys are both really good. Those guys are both top 10 tight ends.
Yeah,
playing together. That scares me a little bit.
Yeah.
They brought back, they brought back their center David Andrews. They also brought back their center from last year, who was the Dolphins center last year, Ted Karras. They also plucked Devon Godshaw. He's a defensive lineman from the Dolphins. They paid him way too much, by the way.
Yeah,
I like him, but then they brought in Matthew Judon to rush the passer on a 4-year, $56 million deal. They brought back Kyle Van Noy, who the Dolphins cut.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand that. I had talked to you about Van Noy a little while ago. I think it might have been about a year ago. I talked to you about him, and I was asking you, how is he? Is he going to be a guy that's going to be kind of a stud? And you were like, he has the potential to be there. And then you but like, you never said that he hasn't quite gotten, he's still rough. He's still rough around the edges, but he should be good. That's what you told me, like, when I was playing Madden, like a year and a half ago, or whatever it was.
That doesn't sound like anything I would have said. I mean, I like Kyle Van Noy.
Yeah.
The only thing I didn't understand was they could have restructured him. I would have liked to have actually had him back. He's a good locker room leader.
He's a good player.
He's a very solid player. I think he still had like 6 sacks or something last year, but that's not really his game. He's kind of one of those guys. He fit the Brian Flores mold so perfectly. He's that jack of all trades thing. The Dolphins value versatility, and Kyle Van Noy is a very versatile player.
Yeah, I was kind of shocked by that they
it was a little weird to me too, and of course it stings a little more that he went right back to the Patriots.
Yeah. Which is that thing to me is that's why I felt like them not doing anything with him, that made their team a little bit worse. And that's why, like, the Will Fuller signing is like that. Okay. Now they've let go some people, and now they got this guy, and now like that's kind of even.
They're not the same player, but they did, I think, essentially try to replace him with Benardrick McKinney. I mean, the Dolphins linebacking core is actually very good.
Yeah.
I like McKinney.
Your defense isn't.
Andrew Van Ginkel has got to be one of my favorite players in the league right now. And he is an up-and-coming star. And I think the problem is Van Ginkel, with his awesome name too, he made Van Noy expendable.
Mm-hmm.
He did, because he stepped up in a way that I don't think the Dolphins necessarily could have foreseen, and I think that made Van Noy expendable. And listen, he had a $10 million salary cap hit, so
it's so tough with injuries and everything in the league. Like, you just can't take it for granted.
The Dolphins still have Vince Beagle, and they also have Jerome Baker too at linebacker. So they're
Van Ginkel and Beagle,
yeah, Jerome Baker,
Tagovailoa.
And McKinney, yeah. No, it's a good linebacking group. It actually is. That wouldn't prevent me from drafting Zaven Collins from Tulsa if they
feel bad for whoever announces their games.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so I think we've covered NFL free agency pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, so far, who do you think has won NFL free agency? Yeah. I mean, it's tough. It's tough because there's a lot of close teams.
I mean, I hate to admit the Patriots. They really they're a lot scarier now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they spent a shit ton of money.
Like, but when you think about winning, you got to think who has improved their team to the point of where they have like the potential to like really do some damage. Yeah, I don't think the Patriots are not going to be a 10-6 team this year.
Well, I think 10-7 maybe if they play 17 games.
But yeah, whatever. I mean, yeah, they're not gonna have a winning. If they have a winning record, it's going to be like, barely over 500. That's my opinion of the Patriots this year.
I don't.
I think next year you're looking at more. It's going to be closer. They're going to be like that second, third, like guaranteed. Really fighting for the second or third, maybe even potentially first place. But I don't think this year.
I mean,
quarterback issue's too big.
That's that I think is the issue. Is the quarterback issue is just.
I mean, you need a good quarterback in this league. It's quarterback league. I mean,
it's too much. I kind of like low key like what the Jaguars did. They actually had a nice free agency. They brought in. I mean, I like that they brought in Marvin Jones. I think you're immediately giving Trevor Lawrence a weapon there, and they already have some pieces there. I like their situation. They brought in Shaquille Griffin, cornerback, which is a really good move. Who else did they bring in?
I don't know.
They brought in another wide receiver. Like
I have really liked what the Giants have done. I think the Giants have done a great job this offseason. The problem is that I just don't believe in Daniel Jones. I think he's a terrible quarterback. So I don't think I think this is going to be set up for the next guy they bring in. And they have just done so much for him. If he doesn't have success, he needs to be the backup's backup.
Yeah, don't forget they brought in Adoree Jackson too to really solidify that secondary.
The Giants, I said, they are primed. They were going for it with this year, and they are like telling Daniel Jones, "Hey, put up or shut up and get the hell out." Like that's basically what they're doing here because he has not done anything great over the last couple of years. Now
I like them bringing Leonard Williams.
Yeah,
you know,
I also think my Bills done a great job. Low key stuff for my Bills. Nothing huge and flashy. But they didn't need to. They have re-signed the people they need to re-sign. They've reworked contracts that they need to rework, and they got Emmanuel Sanders, and I think that is huge. So I have been very happy with this.
I guess if you want to give a little nod to the Redskins for bringing in Ryan Fitzpatrick, so you get some Fitzmagic still in the league, and he will be their starter. And listen, they took the one guy that I wanted, Curtis Samuel.
I hate
Fitzpatrick.
I like Fitzpatrick as a person. I don't like him as a quarterback.
Maybe
poor man's gunslinger.
Maybe my winners would be like Giants, Jags, and I mean you still have to listen. The Patriots, whether you think it's just quantity or not, they just signed a ton of guys.
I just don't think.
They have to be better bringing in all these guys. They have to be, and they weren't a horrible team last year.
What was their record last year?
7-9.
Yeah, they were like around 500.
Right.
So I just don't expect them to be much better. I only think they're going to win a game or two more. Like I don't think they're going to do much better. Like I don't see them fighting deep into the playoffs.
I will tell you the team I think that got the worst and just didn't do much was Detroit. I mean, they made the trade. They get Jared Goff.
I do think Stafford to the Rams.
I like that. Oh, I like that.
That's a good deal.
I think him and McVay could do some special things together.
He's a talented QB. So
first of all, listen, I love Matthew Stafford.
We actually have Ronnie here is on, and he's a Lions fan, so he might have something to say about that too. I don't know.
I mean, listen, the only big signing I can really remember that the Lions did was like Jamal Williams, and he's just like a backup. Running back. I mean,
they have Goff. I mean, I was championing Goff under that McVay, leadership over there, and it seemed like they had a good thing going for a little while.
If you do like DeAndre Swift though, and I love DeAndre Swift, he could excel with Goff because I can see Goff dumping off to him a lot.
Yeah.
Because I think Goff's I like Jared Goff. I think he can get a little shaky in the pocket, and I think Swift will always be.
He just needs to throw about 25 times. 25 times. You don't really want him throwing 40.
No.
Throw around 25 times. You need a solid running back. You need a solid offensive line. His receivers don't have to be the best receivers in the world because he's fairly accurate when he has a good pocket. So.
Yes. Yeah, no, like a lot of quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Let's
Ronnie just said they cleaned house.
They did. I mean, I like the head coach hire. I love Dan Campbell, former Dolphin, former Dolphin coach. So,
all right. So we're going to be heading into the Mount Rushmore of reverse Thanos, dead athletes that we would like to snap back into existence this year, and I will put in our little logo here if I can find it, because this is all brand new, and I haven't 100% got everything locked in. But here we go. Yes, the Mount Rushmore. Reverse Thanos. We're gonna go into snapping these.
I don't know how I came up with this.
I don't either. But I was like, that's awesome. So I actually have a few honorable mentions, not a lot, but a few, because there's some guys that I would just love to see in today's time. But yeah, me too. I think I have 3. So we will do what we usually do, and we'll start with. Do you want to start with Lincoln and go back?
I don't care. It doesn't matter.
You tell me.
Sure.
Man. You tell me, man.
Sure, we can do that.
All right. So we'll start with Lincoln, who is, I mean, I think he should be number 1, but obviously George Washington was the number 1 president, first president of all time. So we give him the shine as being the number 1. Of course, he's your favorite. He's your favorite, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So you have all sorts of like artwork and stuff about him. Yeah, so
I know he kind of got canceled this year, but you know.
All right. So
a lot of people got canceled this year.
All right. So yeah. So all right. So let's get into this. So do you want to start? I'll start off. All right. As my Lincoln, the guy who I would like to see, and I tried to cover a lot of the main sports here. I did, of course, go a little. I went a little baseball heavy. I'm a baseball guy, so I went a little baseball heavy, but I did try to cover a lot of the major sports. But so the first guy that I have here is one of the greatest running backs of all time, died way too early. And I think that this guy in any league, anytime, any era would dominate. And I would love to see him in this league because I think he is like the 2.0 version of like an Adrian Peterson. And actually he has more moves than him, is Walter Payton. I would love to see that guy in today's world. And there's so many guys that are out there. I mean, defensive and there's just so many guys that are so beast mode. Like that you would love to just see play again. Like even like Reggie White, like those guys like that are just died way too early and were just such beasts in their prime that you would love to see. And that's a guy right there, Walter Payton. I would love to see him be in his prime. I
hate to say this. Now. A lot of mine are sadly wrapped in tragedy. But that's kind of the point of this. At least it was for me, was to try to bring back guys who, left us too soon. Okay. And whose careers were already really incredible, but it would have been great if we could have seen some more. Yeah,
I have my caveats here. I got one that I wanted to see how he would do the athleticism, and then I'll give my explanation.
So my Lincoln is, and he died at 38 in a plane crash, and his name was Roberto Clemente. And he was one of the greatest baseball players and maybe one of the greatest human beings to ever live. I mean, the actual events surrounding his death, it was on New Year's Eve in 1972. He was actually he died in a plane crash, and he was delivering supplies to help earthquake victims in Nicaragua. Like, those are the circumstances of his death. I mean, the guy died basically in a heroic act. He was helping people. But just talking about the player himself, Hall of Famer, a 5-tool athlete, just a special player who, granted, he was 38, so he had played, as far as his playing career, he had reached all the milestones that he kind of needed to reach in order to become a Hall of Famer. But way too good of a human being to lose at such a young age. And here's a little hint: he will not be the first person on my list to have died in a plane crash.
All right, I know who the other guy's going to be, and I like it. All right, so let's go on to now. We'll go on to Roosevelt. My Roosevelt here, and this is the guy that I would like to see due to athleticism. He was a beast in his era, and the league was a lot smaller. The league was a lot less athletic. I think that in today's, I feel like in today's league, he might because I don't know if he had the will. Like I mentioned before earlier in the show, how Michael Jordan, I think you dump him into any era. I think,
Yes.
Walter Payton, you dump him into any era, they're dominant because their will to succeed, their will to fight, their will to get better, their will to dominate. Whereas I feel like Wilt Chamberlain, who was a beast, I feel like he might have only been a beast because he was taller, faster, longer, stronger. Like not stronger, because he was very slender, but he was strong. And I feel like against today's competition, I feel like he would be, dare I say, fringe all-star. And that's because
Really?
I feel there are so many people that are like him in today's game. How many 7-foot big guys do you know can handle the rock like a point guard? He couldn't do that. And I don't know if he would have the will to do that, to get better at that. Because, for how good he was, you had players dominate him in the playoffs. You had players dominate him in the regular season because they were just better at defense than he was at offense. So it's a very interesting thing to see. And I would like to see it just to see how someone like him would do in today's league.
Okay. All right.
Got some screaming going on. They're excited for the show. Either that or like, what the heck is that? Wilt Chamberlain, of course he would dominate. Is that what's going on up there?
Yeah. I have no idea what the hell is going on up there. Anyways, okay. So I guess my Roosevelt, unfortunately, I'm sticking to the plane crash theme here. Mm-hmm. And this for me is one of those guys who I have always wanted to see play, wished I could have seen play, admired from, even though I never saw him because he died when I was 2 years old. Mm-hmm. And if you're a Yankee fan, you will understand this, but he was the captain, our captain, Thurman Munson. And he's the guy. It's so weird because every time I think of Thurman Munson, I always think like if I had been a ball player, if I had actually had that kind of talent, could have made it to the big leagues, this is the guy I would have wanted to emulate myself after, in not just in terms of the production, but just the man himself and the way he carried himself, the leader that he was, the way that he fucking hated the Red Sox. Shit, he didn't even get along with his own teammates. him and Reggie, notoriously butted heads, but they made it work because they did it for the better of the team. That 77, 78 Yankees teams, they were proof that you didn't really need to get along to go along. And so, again, he died in his own plane. He was flying his own plane. He had a Cessna, that he was flying in August of 79. He was, flying airplanes and he had purchased his own, and, he was on his way home, like on an off day, because that's what he would do. He would fly his plane home on off days to be with his family because he was such a great family man. And the plane crashed August 2nd, 1979, actually, which is the day before my birthday, August 3rd. And so I would have just been almost 2 years old when he passed away. That one, that's just a guy that I would love to be able to see. I don't know how the way he handled himself, how well that would play in today's modern sports, because he's such a throwback.
Yeah. I think he would still. You still have some warriors out there, like Bryce Harper. He's a warrior. He fights. There's people that are out there. There's not as many.
Yeah, but Bryce Harper he's a throwback in terms of his style of play, but he's new age in terms of his, the social media, the look, the social media presence.
Yeah, but catchers are different.
I know catchers are built different, as the kids say, and I,
as the kids say.
I just have always loved and admired Thurman Munson just a great. Wasn't just a great player, just a great man. And again, you're going to sense a little. I mean, that's a little bit of a theme here with my first two guys between Clemente and Thurman Munson.
All right. So now we'll move on to Jefferson. My Jefferson here is Mickey Mantle, who we will also do.
The state of the Yankees.
And I say Mickey Mantle for a couple of reasons. One, I think that he was just an athletic beast. He had power, he had speed, and in today's game, he could be able to utilize both those things. Unfortunately, his shenanigans outside the locker, outside of the off the ball field, would have been much more. There would have been a bigger light shining on him. And I don't know, the Yankees nowadays would probably have done a better job of reining him in because back then they just didn't care. They were like, oh, that's just what they do. That's what baseball players do. They just go out and they sleep with people and they, drink and, do drugs and, all, just do whatever they do. But as long as they show up for the game and play well, we're okay with it. And he just beat up his body tremendously. And I would like to see him in today's game because I feel like with a little bit tighter reins, I feel like he could have had a longer career and he could have been one of those, I don't know. I mean, who knows how many bases he could have stole? Who knows how many all-stars he would have, how many MVPs, how many, all of it. He was just an absolute total package player. So I would have loved to seen him, put on the pinstripes in today's game.
Yep. Okay. So mine is Kobe.
Kobe.
And it's weird for me to say this because I never loved him as a player. Didn't even necessarily love him as a human being. His death impacted me greatly because he also died alongside his 14-year-old daughter, of which I also have. And the other thing I keep thinking is, well, this would be a 2-for-1 deal too, because if Thanos could snap him back into existence, that would mean she would probably be back with us too. And so, along with 5 or 6 other people who also died in that helicopter crash. And I'm sorry that I brought the morbidity to this thing, but you want to talk about a guy who, while his playing career was done and was arguably, well, I wouldn't say arguably, he's top 5 all-time player, probably at worst a top 10.
Oh, he's top 10.
And he had the only guy I can think of since Jordan who had that Jordan-esque kind of will to win, who emulated his game after Jordan, who in a lot of ways wanted to be him, and in a lot of ways succeeded in that.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So he was a winner. The whole
he was
Mamba
a carbon
mentality
copy
thing. And but I'm also upset because I think Kobe had a lot more to give to the world and to society in general had he lived. He really looked like he had the scandal when he was a player.
Seems like he corrected himself. Seems like he was starting to be turned it around, being a very good human being. And he's he's just starting on his second chapter of his life, and
and that's where I feel like we really got robbed, So he'd be my Jefferson. Again, you're sensing a theme here. Guys who were just taken way too early, who were either in their late 30s, early 40s. So
yeah. All right. So we'll go on to my George Washington.
Who's your GW?
My GW is also in baseball, and he's the African American version of Mickey Mantle, and that is Willie Mays.
Willie Mays is alive.
Is he? I thought he died.
No.
Didn't he die recently?
No.
He didn't die during the whole COVID year?
No.
Really? Shut up.
As soon as you said the African American version,
no.
I was like,
I thought he died.
That would be Willie Mays.
Holy shit, he didn't. 89.
He's alive. Yeah, I was like, wait a minute, he's not dead.
I hate 2020. Well, I'm glad that he's still alive though.
That's hilarious.
That's too bad.
Should we just move on to?
Well, I can go with my my other guy.
Okay.
Man, that's sad.
That's great. You just killed a guy who's still alive.
I know. I Thanos'd him.
You just snapped him out of existence, and he's still very much with us.
Oh, that's too bad.
Because as soon as you said the African American version of Mickey Mantle, I was like, That's
Yeah.
Willie Mays.
I can't believe that. I could have sworn. Oh my Lord. I didn't even look it up because that's how sure I was.
That was great. Wow.
Yeah, that's how sure I was.
Wow. Okay.
Because I was like, oh man, I can't. Like, I remember when Willie Mays died.
That was awesome. Okay. All right.
So I will move on, and so now I won't be baseball heavy now. I'll go into boxing. Muhammad Ali. I would love to see him nowadays, just because I think the sport
that's a great Washington, by the way. That's a good substitution.
Yeah, the sport has really gone downhill. I think I do like what's going on with Tyson and his old man stuff. Now he's going to try and fight Holyfield again.
Right, but what does that tell you about the state of boxing? That you're like,
right.
Okay, I love the whole Tyson thing.
Yeah, because there's no polarizing characters. There's nothing like going on. And Muhammad Ali was the ultimate polarizing character. So I would have to put him in there. And the weird thing about my whole Mount Rushmore is like there were certain areas that I'm like, this guy could go here, but since he can't, I'm not going to put him in. And that happens to be with Muhammad Ali. Like it was either, the alive Willie Mays or the dead Muhammad Ali. So those are the two guys that I was going to choose from there. And I kind of have that's the honorable mention for those groups. So, all right. So that's my George Washington is Muhammad Ali. He's the ultimate polarizing character. He could talk the talk, walk the walk, and complete and utter beast mode. Like just as far as his skill, his and his character.
Yep. So mine would be, if I could do it in like a Bob Shepard voice, I guess it would be, now batting for the Yankees, the center fielder, number 7, Mickey Mantle. He would easily be. My Washington is your Jefferson. Mickey Mantle was, I believe, he could have been the greatest baseball player to ever live. We talked about 5-tool players earlier with guys like Clemente. Mickey Mantle was all that, and he was a switch hitter. I can't even imagine the kind of money that guy would make in today's game. With his skill set, the speed, the arm, the power, the range, he was everything. The guy won 7 championships. Mm-hmm. I shudder to think how many more maybe the Yankees could have won had he not been drunk most of the time.
Seriously.
So this is the argument I always make. If you wanted to say Mickey Mantle was the greatest ever, here's the argument I would make. He probably played a good portion of his games drunk and or hungover. And look how great he was. Mm-hmm. Look at the numbers he put up. Now, I don't know. Maybe he wouldn't have been as good if he didn't feel that way, but I can't imagine that would be the case. I can only think, I just think to myself, holy shit, what could his numbers have been if he had, 1, not been doing that to his body, and 2, he had not been physically hurt. He was always hurt. Too. Yeah. But the numbers that the guy put up, even with all the ailments, even with his off the field issues, what could he have been? Mm. And yes, I would like to believe, maybe the Yankees could have reined him in, stopped the partying, stopped the drinking. Yeah. That was a very different era too in the 50s and the 60s there, when you had guys like him and Whitey who were partying all the time. I mean, unbelievable. I mean, but still, dude, even what an unbelievable career. He's my Washington. I don't want to say it wasn't close, but it kind of wasn't. Right. For me, he's the guy. Mickey Mantle is my. I always say I have favorite old time players in addition to my current guys, and Mickey Mantle and Sandy Koufax are my two. They're my 2 top baseball guys. Yeah. And thankfully, before you even go there, Koufax is still with us. Okay?
Yes, I know.
All right. So, because otherwise he'd have been on this list too for me. Yeah. But that was before Tua Tagovailoa, Sandy Koufax was the left arm of God. So, anyways, my honorable mentions very quickly. Mm-hmm. Pat Tillman. Ooh. American hero. Yeah. Derek Thomas. Great linebacker. Great linebacker. Steve Air McNair. that was a tragedy. Shot and killed, I think, at 36, murdered by his girlfriend, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I would probably also include Ali in there. And you know what? Strangely enough, even though I couldn't care less about race car driving, Dale Earnhardt. That was
Yeah.
That was tough.
That was a tough one. I mean, that was tough for everybody just because everybody knew who he was.
Yeah, right. He's like the guy that
he's the crossover artist. Yeah.
Racing. Yeah, he was. He was the transcend. Like, you know, like if you look at guys like The Rock or Hulk Hogan in wrestling, who sort of transcend.
I was just gonna say Hulk Hogan.
Yeah. Steve Austin.
Yeah.
He's that guy. He's the Babe Ruth.
Like if you say to a normal person, like, who's Scott Hall? They're like, But if you say to a normal, like, who's Tiger Woods? Boom, you know who it is. Who's Muhammad Ali? Boom, you know who it is. Yeah. You know, who's Babe Ruth? You know who it is. Like, everybody knows. Like, Michael Jordan.
Right.
All these.
And I don't know. Like, just as an example, like, I don't know anything about racing. I know Dale Earnhardt, and I know 7 Winston Cup championships.
Yeah.
I know that.
Yeah.
Before they were whatever they are now, NASCAR championship.
Yeah.
They were Winston Cups. Before cigarette smoking got canceled.
All right. So my honorable mentions were Walter Johnson. I would love to see him and his style in today's game. I think he would have done well. Obviously, you know, Babe Ruth is in there. That's a guy that, you know, I feel like can't transcend and could like cross to any era really. I don't know if he'd be quite as dominant. Definitely not as a pitcher, but probably as a hitter, he probably still would be pretty darn good. Yeah. And another one that you'd have to rein him in a bit, which might make him worse. Who knows? And then for me, a guy that there's some new news that just popped in, by the way. I posted it on there about Desean Watson.
What now? How many is it up to now?
16.
Okay, so it went up a couple.
Yeah, so there's 16 lawsuits against him as a what they call him, a serial predator. So anyway, the another guy who I feel like he's not. I mean, he was at the time, but I don't know how many people know of him now, and that's Bobby Jones. PGA great. And he was, you know, he's a guy that, you know, also had some issues that kind of derailed his career towards the end of his life, but like still incredible player. I would, you know, perfect swing. And it's a swing that still today people just like marvel at. So
if I would also like to do sort of a variation on this Mount Rushmore in the future where we talk about guys who are still alive, but we would love to see playing in the modern era.
Like Willie Mays.
Yeah. Sure.
You know what's going to happen? He's going to pass away before we do that. And then I'm not going to be able to use him.
And then it's going to be stuck in limbo.
Son of a gun.
Yeah.
Well, at least he was kind of mentioned.
We have to move on because we only have a few minutes
left.
Yep.
That Desean Watson, I posted it on the screen. It said New York Times reporting that the warrant has been signed for Desean Watson. And additionally, Alan Dershowitz has been hired by Rusty Hardin to Watson's defense team. Stuff's not looking good for him. So,
you know, if you got to bring in Dershowitz, it's real.
Yeah. It's not. It's not looking good for him.
It's not what you want.
No. As the great Joe Girardi says.
As the great Joe Girardi.
Ronnie posts, I was wondering if you guys were going to mention Dale. I don't care at all about racing, but I think every sports fan felt that one. Yeah.
Yes.
We totally agree.
I did too. I actually remember crying over that. And I was like,
I didn't, but it, like, you know, you were kind of like, holy cow. Like just the whole thing that happened. It was just like.
Well, the way it happened too, like because, well, first of all, like he slammed into the wall, but the idea that what a lot of people thought he was doing in that race, if I remember correctly, was he was trying to clear a pathway for his son.
Yeah.
Like he was trying to help his son.
Yeah. That's
imagine, like that's the other emotion. That's the other part of it too.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we talk about Kobe dying in
you have Junior having to deal with that.
His daughter. Like Dale Earnhart Jr. shared the same track that his father passed away.
Which is awesome, but at the same time, like if that was the actual reason, like feels
mortifying.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine what Dale Jr. must. I can't even imagine.
And Ronnie posted Len Bias, Drazen Petrovic, Reggie Lewis, all gone too soon.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Len Bias. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Drazen's a good one. Yep. I remember that.
All right. So now let's move on to the Justice League Snyder Cut, and we're going to go into, which I don't have a clip for yet. Growth mindset.
Where do you think you're going? I'm going to sort it out.
All right, so we're going to sort it out. We're going to get into the Snyder Cut. It was released about a week ago. Not really. Several days ago. Yes, last Thursday. It was released, and I was able to watch it over the weekend. You watched it, I think, before me.
I've watched it twice.
The critics, I'll see if I can post it on the screen.
I can tell you right now.
It was like 73%, right?
Tomatometer, the tomato meter, whatever, is 73% with critics, and it is a whopping 96% with the audience.
Yeah. Yes.
And for me, I'll just kind of go into it. When I first saw it, I was going 8.5 out of 10. I saw it again, and I bumped it up to 9 out of 10. So I am actually more firmly with the audience now than I am with the critics, although somewhat sort of in the middle. I'm not even going to sit here and call this a dramatic improvement over the Joss Whedon version. This is a completely different movie. It's not the same movie.
It is, but it isn't.
There are aspects of it that are obviously similar, and I guess maybe if you want to say like the overarching direction, I guess, is kind of like the same, but
there are a lot of clips that are the same. Just the way that Snyder did them, and the way that he used the music, and the way that he told the story of each individual made you connect with everybody a little bit more.
Listen, this is a perfect example of why storytelling matters, okay? Mm-hmm. Why character development matters, and why editing matters. Mm-hmm. And in the case of editing, hello, Joss Whedon, way too much editing. And also, Joss Whedon just took liberties that he should not have taken. Yeah. And he also made the movie stupid and campy and like in that Batman and Robin-ish kind of bad way.
Yeah.
Like really bad. This movie was just honestly really good from start to finish. It really was. Mm-hmm. And I did not care even a little about the runtime.
No, it went by so fast.
It went by fast. I enjoyed every second of it.
I have never seen a 4-hour movie that I felt like it was like 2 hours.
I loved that it was rated R. I loved the character development of it. I loved Cyborg's story, which we really, really got a lot.
Well, that's one of the things with Joss Whedon. Him and Ray Fisher did not like each other, and Joss Whedon has had a lot of headbutting with a lot of different actors. So it's probably not Ray Fisher's fault.
Oh, I would assume it's not. And I don't hate Joss Whedon, but I hate what he did to Justice League.
The more he directs and the more that I've seen his work, the less I like him. I think he knocked the first Avengers movie out of the park, and then he just kind of went downhill from there.
Yeah. He did a good job.
Got too full of himself.
Did he do the Star Trek reboots? Was that him? Mm-mm. No, I thought it was. Maybe I'm. Oh no, that's JJ. I'm sorry, I'm mixing it up with JJ. Okay.
Yeah.
But didn't Joss Whedon do Lost? Was that his show?
I think so. I think he was. I don't know if he directed, but I think he was like he might have been one of the writers. He's done a bunch of different. He's done a lot of different TV things. The guy
is not without talent.
Right.
I mean, he's a talented guy. He just fucked this shit up.
He did a lot of like Buffy the Vampire Slayer. He did a lot of stuff like that. Like he's
got a little CW resume. I think there. Yeah. But this to me
seems to not treat women very fairly. Like all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. When I first saw when they had first kind of made the announcement about this, I think they said this was going to be like a 75% different movie. It was like a 90% different movie.
Yeah, I don't think it was that big of a difference. I'm like a little bit different than you on that, but I do feel like it was just a better. Not so. For me, you said like you're at a 9. I'm probably like between an 8 and 8.5. I do think it was a far better movie. I thought they did a better job. Doing a better job with the characters. I think
frankly,
they directed.
There was nowhere to go but up.
Yeah, I mean, I hated the Justice League so much that I watched it once and just said I'm not watching that again. Yeah, that was the biggest abomination I've ever seen when it comes. And I've watched the old Batman, the Schumacher Batmans, and I've watched the Green Lantern and Jonah Hex and I think that movie was the biggest wasted space of a movie I have seen when it comes to comic book movies. Yep. I hate that movie. And I don't hate many movies. I hate that movie.
I don't know about you, because I know we've only got a couple minutes here. I don't know about you, but I would say the biggest endorsement for this movie is that I want to see more. Now I want to see the continuation.
And it doesn't. And they came out and said they're not doing it. They're not moving on.
Which sucks.
The dumbest thing I've ever heard. You just built momentum.
Right. And
you already have Wonder Woman movies coming out. You have another Aquaman movie coming out. Continue with it. Don't go down that, like. And the thing with the Joss Whedon stuff, like I saw like stuff clip to clip, like just based on like he was so just reaching for the weirdest and stupidest laughs.
Yeah.
And he was so forcing it. And then you watch what Snyder did, and it's like there were a couple of laughs in there, but nothing campy and stupid and like just reaching for like reaching for laughs so hard. Like it was so bad. Like why would you bring actors back in to film that? Like really?
Terrible. Anyways, great movie.
So I like the movie a lot better. It went by so fast. I'm going to watch it again because I'm going to watch it with my son. I had to preview it first because I knew it was rated R, but I wanted to see how R. And it was just because there was a couple F-bombs. And
I loved the back
and a little bit of the blood.
Joker at the end where he's like, "Make no mistake, I will fucking kill you."
Yeah.
Like that whole thing about
and that whole thing
in my arms and
whole thing is a prelude to a comic book series that I've read, and it is brutal. I don't know if anybody knows what it is. I'm not going to get into spoilers. I can talk to you about it afterwards. I don't know if you know what the whole series is about, but it involves Joker, and it's pretty dark.
But I liked that we got to see a little bit more of Jared Leto in that role.
A different Joker.
Yeah,
a different style.
But I liked it.
Yeah,
but I liked it.
A more mature Joker, maybe you could say.
Something definitely out there though.
Mm-hmm.
But he brought his own twist to it, and I liked it. And Jared Leto's a very fine actor, so
yes. And I think the growth of that Joker is good. I like the way that they moved him from like that weird tattooed
Suicide Squad
to the where he is now. Like I liked it. I thought it was pretty good. I'm not sure I loved the laugh, but I didn't hate it, so that's a good thing. Yeah. All right, so that's
listen. Bottom line, I got to see one thing I wanted, which was Superman in the black suit. That was the one thing I wanted.
Yeah, and that's another thing that the studio didn't want to do.
Yep.
The studio really fought Snyder on it. And they refused to make a black suit. And so Snyder had to do it through CG work. Yeah. Which looked a lot better than Josh Whedon's blurring out the mustache.
Yeah. Oh.
All right. We are pretty much ready to end our show today. Thank you guys for tuning in and watching. Please share, like this, share, smash the like button, smash the subscribe button, smash the notification bell so that you know whenever we go live. And then please don't hesitate to fire off some questions that you might want us to tackle in the future. If there's any topics, any Mount Rushmores, anything you want us to put on the wheel, if there's anything at all, don't hesitate to just go and fire it off. You can hit us up on Twitter at Shane and Bryman or on Facebook at Shane and the Bryman. And you can find me on Twitter at Einhorn is Finkel and at Instagram at Happy McAvoy.
You can find me on Twitter at _Bry_man. And I haven't said this in a while, so let's see if I can get it okay. We've reached the end of our show. And to quote the great Tony Stark, part of the journey is the end. And so we will see you hopefully next week. And stay classy, Planet Globe.
Nice. All right. Thank you, guys. We'll see you again on Monday. We're going to be here every Monday, 9 a.m.-ish. And we will be trying to keep up and posting what we're going to be talking about. And then you guys can add in if there's anything that you want to talk about. If any screenshots, anything at all, just post it in the comments where we post about when we're going to do it. I'll try and do it the day before. So this way we can, have everything out there and really make this a little bit more connected. All right. Peace out. Bye.
Bye.